I'd like to share a few words in regards of the special day which is commemorated by a lot of Jewish people, which is called Lag BaOmer, the 33rd day of the Omer. So the first one to officially write about rejoicing on the day of Lag BaOmer is the Ramoshe Isserlich in the Ramah. He brings in the name of the Maharil that on the day of Lag BaOmer, apparently, it seems to be in the Maharil writes that the students of Rabbi Akiva who died between Pesach and Atzeret stopped dying on Lag BaOmer. So the Maharil writes there's room for rejoicement for the fact that the pandemic, that this terrible tragic event had come to a stop. And that's why the Ramah rules that the minhag is to rejoice a little bit on the day of Lag BaOmer for the fact that the students of Rabbi Akiva had stopped dying at that point. It is a little bit not questionable, but there are differences of opinions. According to the Rabbi Yosef Karo, they actually stopped dying on the 34th, which is half a month prior to Shavuot. So that's why we continue the mourning and the restriction of not having haircuts until the 34th day. So this reason of the students of Rabbi Akiva stopping to die on Lag BaOmer is subject to a disagreement, to an argument between Rabbi Yosef Karo and the Ramah. According to Rabbi Yosef Karo, they only stopped dying on the 34th, and Miksat Hayom Kekulo, part of the day is like a full day. So on the morning of the 34th, we are allowed to. So what is the room for rejoicement according to Rabbi Yosef Karo on the day of Lag BaOmer? The Pri Hadash questions on the Maharil, and he says, why is it that we commemorate this day with a little bit of simcha because they stopped dying? But none of the students were left. 24,000 died. I mean, yes, pandemic they stopped, but there's no one else to die. So why is it we're commemorating as a special day? So he questions this idea of simcha, and he says that the reason why the simcha came on Lag BaOmer was traditionally, it seems to be that Rabbi Akiva had gone down south to raise new students in Torah because he had lost, and that took place on the day of Lag BaOmer. That's when he appointed his 5 students, he gave them semicha to carry on teaching Torah. The 5 new students, that was on Lag BaOmer. And therefore he says that is the reason for simcha, for the fact that Rabbi Akiva continued to teach Torah even after such a great loss of 24. He now revived the Torah by getting 5 new students. To endorse that, we have the Arizal. The Arizal in one place, in Shara Kavanot, brings about the special day of Lag BaOmer. He says there are special orot on that day, special lights, because that's the day where Rabbi Akiva gives semicha to the 5 students. And he gives a few indications about this special day that brought about the fact that Rabbi Akiva was able to continue and bring these students up. So the simcha is that there's continuity to Torah on the day of Lag BaOmer. And that's agreed by the Arizal HaKadosh and also by the Pri Hadash, who was according to Pshat. Yet we still have the Maharil who hold for different reason to give more rejoicement, because they hold, yes, the fact that it stopped dying, even that there's no more to die, that's also a reason to thank Hashem and make a little bit of simcha. There is a debate whether, because there was a story with Arizal that he went up to Miron and he was with one of the students called Rabbi Avraham Halevi, and he used to say Nahem, used to pray for the destruction of Yerushalayim in each one of his Amidot. And he mentioned Nahem also in Lag BaOmer, and the Arizals told him afterwards that he had a vision of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai coming and saying, why is this man saying Nahem, which is for tragedies, on my special day of Lag BaOmer? And I'm very upset with him. There's an end to the story which I don't want to share with you, which is a sad ending. However, we see that the Arizal was very particular on this matter that Lag BaOmer is a special day. There is a discussion, as the Arizal say, make a special Hilula, whether that's referring that was the Yortzeit when he actually passed away, which that poses a question, why should we commemorate it with Simcha? But it seems to be that if it was his Yortzeit, and we have to wonder, there's such siyata dishmaya, there's so many Jewish people gather. The Bartenura, which was hundreds of years ago, testifies and writes a letter to his brother that there was great commemoration in Miron, in the burial place of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai on the day of Lag BaOmer. Surely, if Hashem brought about there's so many thousands of people gathered the day, must be that it's got to do with the Yortzeit of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, because otherwise there isn't a strong enough explanation to explain why would they gather specifically on that day. But there's another theory, another school of thought, that there wasn't the Yortzeit of the Arizal then, of the Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. It was rather when Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai revealed to the world many secrets of Torah. Thankfully, we have the tradition of the Zohar Kadosh, which the Arizal endorsed. And many of our practices in Halakha have been influenced by the great Arizal based on the Zohar Kadosh, which is the Emet Lamito. And it's blended in to our day-to-day things. And for those who've learned a little bit of Sod and start tasting the ideas, it shows you the mechanics behind mitzvot, which sometimes our mitzvot, the way we perform them, sounds a little bit not understood. But when you learn the Sod part of the Torah, you see how things fit so beautifully, how perfect they are. Do you know how Torah to Sod is so emet? And that light was given to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai to reveal on the day of Lag BaOmer. So that's a reason for commemoration. Omnam not like Matan Torah, but yet it's a new faith, it's a new deeper meaning into our Torah, which that's in itself is a reason to commemorate Lag BaOmer as a special day. So it can even be the Hilula, which is a Yortzeit, and when a tzaddik dies, he leaves behind and he allows a lot of his sodot, secrets, to be public knowledge. Or it wasn't his Yosef, but he himself revealed on the special day of Lag BaOmer many sodot. So if the Arizal endorsed this, Mi yavo achar hamelech, how can he even question this? I find it interesting that people will commemorate all other funny days, which don't even belong to the Jewish calendar. And when it comes to commemorating the special day, which has been endorsed by the Shlar Kadosh, by even the Pashtanim, amongst Sephardi and Ashkenazi communities, that this is a special day, they start questioning this whole day when it's mentioned clearly in the Poskim. So therefore, Chazaku Baruch for those people who commemorate this day, because we are so joyful that we are able to have the secrets of Torah, which Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai left as an abundance for us Jewish people, and the Arizal is actually endorsed this special day. And we see that going back to Rav Moshe Isserlich, to the Maharil, this day should be commemorated a little bit of Simcha. Even the Pri Hadash, all the Acharonim have actually followed on those. And therefore, we should really be commemorating this day especially. Now, the custom is on this day to gather all the memrot, all the statements in the Talmud, which was said by the great Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, learn a little bit of Sod, a bit of Zohar Kadosh, and memrot of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar Kadosh on this evening, and try to indulge in the Torah of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You have to understand, Lag BaOmer is not a day for barbecues only. That's not the purpose. You can join in the Hilula, some eating, but the main thing is too, the Bet Midrash, that we learn the Torah, which Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai has expanded and explained to us. That's the main purpose of the day of Lag BaOmer.